Welcome to Rooster Radio, a broadcast dedicated to supporting and promoting local artists in the Gaston County and surrounding areas.
What's up, everybody? How we doing out there? Wanted to tell you about some stuff we got coming up here at the Rooster, some shows that you should buy tickets to and come see and support. September's a pretty jam-packed month, so let's do this. This Friday, the 12th, we've got Frizzle Fries, a Primus tribute, and Make Yourself an Incubus tribute playing together here on the same night. It's going to be fun. Everybody get your New Balance sneakers on and come hang out. The very next night, the 13th, is Autumn Lies Buried, The Coursing, Two Stroke Smoke, Pathologic, and this is brought to you by Shaut, by the way. It's going to be a killer night. A lot of heavy bands, and then we're going to be doing some hip-hop in between band changeovers to keep the show moving. That's the 13th. It's a big, big show, y'all. We're starting a little bit early because we got a lot of talent going to hit the stage that night. And then the very next Saturday, on the 20th of September, we've got the band Plush, with everyone's favorite North Carolina-based pop-punk band Dove Cage. We've got Parallel Lives and Six Story Pyramid on that show. That's going to be a wild show. We're already low on tickets, so if you haven't got your tickets to that one, you need to go ahead and get them now because that one's going to sell out. And then the very next weekend, I should say, the 26th and 27th, we are hosting Brewstock Music Fest. Butcher Babies headlining Saturday night. The pre-party's Friday night with Redefine headlining. And yeah, go ahead and get your tickets. That's going to be a wild show. We got a lot going on in downtown that day as well. And then looking further down the road on the 9th of October, that's a Thursday night, we've got Mike V and the Rats with the Good Grief and Charlotte's very own Queen City Rejects. If you don't know who Mike V is, he was singing for Black Flag for a while, and now he's running around doing his own thing. On that Saturday, the 11th, we've got Not Your Kind, tribute to Slipknot with Midas 22 opening that show. The 24th of October, Elvis meets the Beatles. We got an Elvis tribute and a Beatles tribute going to take the stage in the same night. It's going to be a nice, fun night of nostalgia. And then the very next day, we're hosting the 7th annual Carolina Headbangers Ball with what is quite possibly the most amazing lineup AJ has ever put together. Shout out to my brother AJ for doing this. Shout out to Witch Pit for headlining. It is going to be a really fun show. If you like the heavy stuff, get your tickets for the Carolina Headbangers Ball on Saturday 25th. Further down the road, on the 1st of November, we're bringing back House of Hair. We haven't seen those guys in about a year and a half, so we're really excited. All your favorite 80s hair metal hits. And then the following Saturday on the 8th is Heathen Sons album release party with Sugar, System of a Down tribute headlining. You can get tickets. You can get more information on these shows and all of our upcoming shows at theroostergastonia.com. Click the events tab and buy some tickets. Peace and love. This episode of Rooster Radio is brought to you by Gas House Cannabis Dispensary. As you can see here, we've started selling THCA products, which are legal in the state of North Carolina. We've got packs of pre-rolls, indica and sativa. We've got lollipops that are 80 milligrams. We've got brownies that are 20 milligrams. And the reason I decided to bring this product in is because these are locally sourced, locally grown, no chemicals, no added stuff sprayed on it. This is all the real deal. And yeah, next time you're here at a show and you're in the mood for some cannabis product, we have it available. We also have THC seltzers as well. But these are all brought to you by Gas House Cannabis Dispensary here in Gastonia, North Carolina. Yeah, that's become a habit.
Absolutely.
There are some wild habits out there. Wasn't there a TV show about like my strange addiction or something
Yeah.
like that? Yep. Some people do some weird shit, man. What's your strange addiction, Bob?
Oh my God, dude. I think I got to think about that one a little harder. I'm not entirely sure my addiction is.
I'm just obsessive compulsive sometimes. Like when I get into something, the same way with these records. When I started that, I told my wife, "Hey, babe, I'm only going to get my top 50 records of all time. I promise." We had over 3,000 in the house before I opened the store. I had a whole bedroom.
So it started as a hobby.
Yeah, it started as I'll be honest, my 15-year-old daughter got me back into it.
Yeah.
9 years ago. She was like, I want a record player and some records for Christmas. And then I got talking to my old drummer. He's like, dude, I can't believe you never got back. And I said, who's got time? You know what I mean? I'm to sit and listen to a record. If I listen to music, it's in my truck when I'm driving. Other than that, I've got 20 other things to do,
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to spend the money on a system because I'm a big sound guy, right? So I want premium sound. So I'm like, well, I'm going to get 50 records, babe. That lasted maybe the first 3 weeks I had 50 records. And then how I got back into reselling was a buddy of mine, him and his old lady split up. And he was moving to Florida. And he's like, calls me up and he's like, hey, man, I'm, selling my records. And I'm like, he's like 70, 80 records, And I'm like, dude, I can't. No. He's like, well, just sell them. I'm like, I don't need to sell records. I'm collecting records. I'm not a reseller of records.
Right.
And he's like, dude, help me out. And I'm like, I go, what do you want for him? He's like, give me 500. I said, I would have given him 500 for the 10 I wanted. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you bring him to the house? And he's like, yeah, I'll bring him over to the house. I'm like, I got $500 for you. I turned that into $3,500.
Nice.
And then I was like, what am I doing? So I started driving up and down the East Coast. I've been to Florida. I've been to Western Kentucky. I've been to upstate New York to buy record collections. And it just kept growing and growing and growing. And I was like, holy shit. So what I started doing is supplementing pull out what I wanted for my personal collection and then selling off the rest. And then
Were you selling them on like eBay or
Whatnot?
Whatnot?
I was doing a lot last year on Whatnot. And
So this just started a couple years ago.
2 years, almost 3 years ago.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to Jason.
Oh, hey, I didn't even know we were live yet.
Yeah, and Jason owns the vinyl shop next door to the Rooster here, JG's Vinyl and More.
Yep.
And so it started as I'm just going to get my top 50, and as you just heard,
It started as a hobby, and then it became an addiction. That to justify the addiction, you opened a store.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they call it vinyl addicts for a reason. I mean, because you'll start, like I said, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God. And like I always tell people, and that's why you'll see me building systems next door for people and stuff like that. Spend a little money on the system. Don't go to Walmart. Nothing wrong with Walmart, but don't go to Walmart and spend $60 on a Crosley and then buy a $200 record and say this sounds like crap. You know?
Yeah, those cheap record players are dog shit.
Terrible.
A few years ago, God, it's got to be about 5 years ago now. For Christmas, my brother-in-law got my wife and I a Tectonic record player from like a legit from the 70s, old school that's been taken well care of. All we had to do was put a needle on it. And that's what started us with buying vinyl. We don't have a huge collection. We basically we have like some of our favorite albums, and then every now and then we'll see something we want and we'll grab it. And for us, there's still a lot of people that are like resistant. Like, what do you want vinyl for? You can pull out your phone, and it's like, well, it's more about
it's an experience.
Yeah, it's more about the ritual. I was gonna say ritual of an experience of like putting the record on, start it. You kind of set in a mood in your home. Like a lot of times we use our record player mostly when we have people over for dinner, or if we're cleaning house. The stopping of the one side of the record is an indicator for us to take a break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, let's stop what I'm doing. We'll go flip the record. We'll start on something else, and it's really just kind of like a ritual thing for us at the house. And it means different things to different people. A lot of people is just nostalgia.
Yeah. One thing like what I love about records, and a lot of people. My son, I'll use him as an example. So last August, because we usually get season passes to PNC for my son and my wife or my daughter and her husband. That's what we usually get. And then, of course, Live Nation took away the lawn passes this year. But so he's like, hey, instead of a lawn pass, will you build me a system? So I was like, sure. So I put together a nice little Sony system for him and all that. And he was like, I can't believe how good records sound. Mm-hmm. He goes, and I can't believe... And he's one of these kids that be on his phone, play 30 seconds of a song and hit next. Because we go to the beach, right? We set up the tents and we make the base camps, and we got the Bluetooth speakers. And I finally was like, God damn it, play the whole song. I don't even give a shit what it is.
That's funny. My daughter does the same thing. She can't get through a whole song.
Oh my God, it drives me out of my mind. So he's like, I can't believe all the songs that I'm hearing from these artists that wasn't released, like not their big hit. I'm like, that's right. He's like, I'm finding so many songs on some of these albums I'm getting that is so much better than the stuff they're releasing. I said, well, first of all, you got to keep in mind, a lot of times it's not the band that releases the single, it's the A&R guy or the record company, right? They're going to pick where they're making money. Doesn't make it the best song. And that's one thing I love about vinyl. Let's be honest, I'm a fat old guy, right? So I get up twice, right? Once to put that record on, once to flip it, and then to change it. That's it. But you listen to the whole entire record, and especially if you're listening to bands from the 70s, 60s, and 70s, even though it might not be a conceptual album, a lot of times there's a progression of how they wanted you to hear that album.
Yeah.
So now you're hearing the way exactly that artist sat there and said, we want this song, then this song, because it does tell a story, a lot of these records. I mean, not everyone's, Pink Floyd The Wall, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So that's one thing I like about records too, is you listen to the whole damn thing.
A lot of thought and effort went into the order. Of
Absolutely.
this. Yeah.
And again, spend a little bit of money on your system and get out of that record. And then, because to me, I'm an analog guy. I like cassette sound better than I do on the right system. I think a cassette sounds better than CD. CDs are clear. Nothing wrong with CDs. We've been selling, I just picked up another 400 this morning. We've been
I can't
selling.
tell you how many times in the 90s I'd hear a song on the radio and I'd go to Trax or Camelot Music here. The Eastridge Mall used to be a happening place, y'all. Go to the music store and you'd go buy the CD and you get all excited and you pop it in your CD player. And then the song you heard on the radio was the only song on the album that was worth a shit.
Yep.
And you're like, I just paid $16 for this piece of garbage I only like one song off of. That happens a lot. But then there were other times where you'd buy an album and you'd be like, oh, this band is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so some of my favorite songs from bands back in that day never made it to the radio.
Absolutely.
And we're getting into music nerd territory here. We love this shit. We love and I'm the same way you are when it comes to listening to an album. I want to hear the whole body of work.
Yep.
Because the artists, the musicians, everyone involved put all this effort into creating this body of work.
Yeah.
I want to hear the whole story. And, there's albums out there that are very disjointed and don't have a lot of flow to it. But for the most part, people who make albums are making, they're telling a story or making this big body of work, which, it's funny because today it's so opposite. Like people, like most artists, or at least most like popular artists, the goal isn't to create an album. The goal is to keep putting out singles to keep people hooked in because of the way technology's gone. And look, there's value to that too. You can make I can make an argument both ways, right? The argument for today is that people's attention spans are so small. It's a waste of your time and effort to put together a whole conceptual album body of work because no one's going to care. They're not going to get through the
You're
first
going to listen
three
to
songs.
30 seconds of each song and switch it.
If you can put out a new song every 2 months, you get them listening to this hit for a couple of months, and just when they're ready to turn their attention somewhere else, you drop another one and you grab their attention again. That's how you're staying in people's minds. Whereas 30 years ago, you were listening to an album until you knew every word on that album forward and backwards.
Because the next album wasn't coming out for another 2 years or something.
Yeah,
like
there's
that.
a reason why when they produce new music, it's usually not more than 3 minutes and 30 seconds tops.
Again, it's the same point I'm making now.
And the whole song,
Yeah,
the whole
that's-
song is the hook, which I can't
Exactly.
stand. There's no it's just like the hook.
I don't want to sound like an old man, but man, some of this new stuff, I'm like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
I resist the old man shit a lot. Like I do, man. It's like I try to understand and be empathetic and be like, yeah, I get it. Like this is how things are now. It's not the way it was when I was a teenager. And I can appreciate, like, there's people out there that are just killing it, and they figured out the formula and they're doing the things the right way to stay relevant. Guys like Yellow Wolf and Jelly Roll are just staying at the top of charts because every month or two they got something new for you, and they're keeping you hooked in and reeled in, and that's cool too. Like I said, that's a completely different muscle you're exercising.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's still valuable and art and all that stuff. But anyways, I want to talk a little bit about what you got going on.
Okay.
So those who don't know, you've been open for what?
Since December last year.
December. So we're coming up on a year, not
Almost
quite
a
a
year.
year. And Jason has just not stopped. He just keeps snowballing your efforts here. And you came to me a couple of months ago with this idea, or you wanted to tell me about this idea you had to put together a vinyl convention. And I was like, oh, when you trying to do this? And you said September 27th. And I was like, holy shit, that's the same day as Brewstock. This is great.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
And I didn't even know that when I booked the date.
Right. Yeah.
It's worked out.
Yeah.
Very serendipitous. And so my immediate reaction was like, let's work together.
Oh,
like,
hell
let's,
yeah.
let's work together. And so I'm gonna kind of give you the floor to talk a little bit. Like,
Okay.
give us your best promo for what this is, what you're calling it, what you're going to do
Sure.
with it, all that, and then we'll chop it up a little bit about how we work together to promote.
Perfect. So I've been doing vinyl shows for 2.5 years now. I've done them from Knoxville, Tennessee, Salem, Virginia, South Carolina, and Raleigh, all that. And
You put together shows? Or
no,
participated?
I just rented tables and took my records there to sell them before
Okay.
we opened the shop. I was doing that and whatnot pretty much is how I was selling records. Doing very well
That's
doing
an app
that.
or a website?
Yeah, so what that is you do live auctions. And
okay.
people literally swipe right if they want to buy your record. So it's a great record. I've sold probably 1,000 on that just last year. But a lot of times with these vinyl shows is and I'll be honest with you, what really drove me to wanting to start to do my own show, make it more music industry focused, right? So it's not just the same, nothing wrong with, I just always use it as an example, but Fleetwood Mac rumors, you don't need 47 crates filled with Fleetwood Mac rumors, right? So we've been really selective on some of the vendors that we've allowed in as record dealers because we want to bring people what are, to me, a record show should be.
Value.
Unique in value,
Yeah.
right? Make it be like, holy cow, I can't believe that. So I've been really trying to gravitate more towards private collections and guys wanting to start getting rid of some of that because that's where you find your gold at, right? I mean, if it's a vendor that's selling a bunch of Walmart restock or old stock, whatever. I mean, I'm not gonna say no to your table, but in the same token, don't complain if you don't sell through what you're bringing, right? So, but we also want to get, like I said, more industry focused. So we have Comatose Records coming to this show. How cool is it that somebody can walk in and talk to Steve Green, right? That is owns the record label. You know, I sell all Steve's stuff for Comatose next door, but I didn't realize we had a death metal label out of Kings Mountain.
Yeah.
You know, and he's a super cool guy. So he's going to be there with his merch and all that, and his, promoting his 32 roster or whatever it is, 28 or 32 now, promoting his roster. But how cool is some kid could bring in a CD and say, "Hey, Steve, this is my band," and you're talking to the guy that owns a record label.
Yeah.
Right.
We have a bluegrass. They haven't committed yet, which I'm at this point being 4 weeks out. I don't know if they're going to or not, but they were thinking about it. If they don't, they're at least sending down a couple artists. So we'll have probably a couple acoustic guys set up over there too. Cavendish Brewing is doing a full beer garden over there for us adults. But it's going to be clothing, jewelry. It's not just the same crates of the same stuff over and over. Because one thing I have found since opening this shop, the demographic that I'm 53, okay? So the guys like me that go to a record show or into a record store, we're looking for those holes in our collection to fill, right? Mm-hmm. We have a whole generation of new record collectors. Those kids, I'll tell you, one of my number one,
as it were.
Well, my number one demographic is probably 13 to 35, with 60% probably being female. But these kids, they want entertainment. They want to be engaged. Not the same old guys pissed off at the world looks on their faces, selling the same garbage that smells like smoke. I'm not being ugly. I'm just being honest. And so that's what we're trying to do, is make it more customer friendly, if you will, or patron friendly.
So I can understand that. Like what I was saying was like, there's your addiction, right? It's like my weird addiction is thrift store, like thrifting and Goodwill and all that stuff, right? You're going through all this, which is literally a mess sometimes. You're trying to find those gold stars that are right in there. And it's the same thing with the records. When you go to a thrift store and they got a bunch of albums, and you're just going through one after another until you find that one. You're like,
Oh yeah, I've found some home runs.
Yeah,
that's why I buy these collections. Half the fun I have of buying them is going through them.
Yep.
We should probably say what we're talking about is the Carolina Sound.
Carolina Sound. Yep,
it's
at
record convention, and it's going to be at the convention center here in downtown Gastonia, up on Martin Luther King Way.
Yeah, it's right on MLK, right across from the Wells Fargo.
Yeah, it's the one where the parking deck's at in downtown Gastonia.
And you can use the parking deck, even though it says resident only, it's first come, first serve. So the parking deck is totally on limits. And what's nice, like Lisa was telling me, they can't get a tow truck in there. So the patrons can park. She's like, tell them they can park wherever the hell they want to.
And this is very important. If you go to this Carolina Sound Convention on Saturday, September 27th, and what are the times?
10 to 4.
From 10 to 4. We'll be having Brewstock happening that same day, and our doors are going to open at noon that day. If you go to the Carolina Sound Convention, hold on to your ticket or receipt or whatever and come to our music festival, and we're going to give you a discount at the door.
That's awesome.
And there will be some of the artists performing later in the day at Brewstock will be going up to the convention to hang out and chop it up with people. And so basically what's happening is Saturday, September 27th, Downtown Gastonia is going to be all about the music.
Absolutely.
Now Brewstock is kind of more of like rock and roll, heavy metal kind of music. So like if that's not what you're into, that's fine. We'll have food trucks. We're going to have some vendors out here as well. A lot of fun stuff going on. But we want you to know if you're going to that convention and you want to come see some live music, stay in downtown Gastonia.
Absolutely.
Leave your car parked in the parking deck because they can't tow it. And then walk a couple blocks down here to the Rooster.
It's literally 2.5 blocks.
Get a discount at the door. Come have lunch or dinner at the food truck. Check out a couple bands. Bam, you've had an awesome day in downtown Gastonia. And it was really, really important for me to like work together with you.
Absolutely.
Because this makes so much sense. But it's more than, like you said, it's more than just vinyl collectors that are going to be having tables. You're going to have jewelry, clothing. From what I heard, if I'm not mistaken, Scott Splawn's going to be up there.
Oh, yeah.
So some of Splawn amplifications.
So what we did is we got Scott his own entire conference room. So he's going to be doing a full workshop in it. First of all, Splawn amps have been around forever.
Yeah, it's pretty well known. I mean, it's
for
kind of
boutique
wild.
style.
Yeah, they're Splawn. If you don't know, Splawn's based out of Dallas, North Carolina, which is right up the street, and he's been making custom amps for decades.
Yep.
And his amps have been on some of the biggest stages
Oh,
in the world.
Pull up his repertoire of artists that has used Splawn. It'll blow
Go
your mind.
Google Splawn amplification and see who all's using his stuff.
Have you seen his custom basses and guitars he's doing now?
Yes.
Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah.
God.
Yeah, I'll
he's
pop in
actually
from time to
building one
time.
for the shop for me right now.
Nice.
A guitar. With our logo on it. So
Awesome.
Yeah, so that should be done hopefully by the 27th would be cool.
And he'll be putting on workshops. You can get more information about like what he does and how he does it. And maybe you're looking for an amp, and this is the place to go.
So what we did is we got him his own conference room. That way, if somebody wants to sit down and actually play, they're not going to disturb the guy looking at jazz records. You know what I mean? Because that way they have their own room, but it's up on the mezzanine level, so they'll have their own conference room. You can sit down and play, talk to Scott himself. It's like I said, that's what we're trying to do is make it more a music-oriented environment, not just the same old crates of records, one after table after table after table.
And right as of today, we're recording this a little early, so we're about a month out. How many vendors have you already got signed up?
So right now, I have the last count we had. I want to say we have room for 90 tables. The big room's almost filled now. Okay, I think we have. Vendor-wise, I'd say probably 17, maybe 20. I think the count right now is 52 tables. So if you're a vendor,
that's how many you have already.
That's how many people have paid.
Okay, so the reason I bring that reason I bring that up is because when this show airs, we're going to be a couple of weeks, like 2.5 weeks out. So there's still time to participate. If you didn't know about this, or you've been on the fence, or you're looking for a place to go sell, if you've got records, or if you make jewelry, or if you're a vendor of any kind and you want to be a part of this Carolina Sound Convention, we're talking, hundreds of people are going to be going through this thing. And this is a big regional event. People are going to be coming up from Atlanta, down from Virginia.
We have a vendor coming from Pennsylvania. We have a vendor coming from Florida. We have several from South Carolina, one from Virginia. This guy from Tennessee on the fence. But these guys are bringing some powerhouse
so if
stuff.
you're considering or would like to participate in this event, how would they get a hold of you?
So they can go right through carolinasound.net. You can book your table straight through there. And this one thing that we're doing that no other promoter of any of these shows do, we're taking. So if you get online right now, tickets are only $5 to get in. Buy them online, and 15 and under is free. Okay, because I don't think a family of 4 should have to pay $20 or $40 at the door.
Yeah.
Right.
And
to
have
bring
no,
their
have no
kids.
money to spend in the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing an advanced show. It helps us out because we can kind of ballpark how many people we're expecting, right? Because let's be honest, the rule of thirds, probably only a third's going to buy advance. So if we go 200, we're expecting probably 400 to 600 people would be a safe estimate, right? But what I'm doing is I'm taking 70% of all pre and day of shows, and we're splitting that equally amongst the number of vendors that there are.
So you might actually get your vendor table fee
So
back.
if you take an inside table at $60, a wall table 70, right? Which is about the going rate for tables right now. But again, even if you got $30 back, there is no show, especially at that convention center where you have 4 10-foot drop-down screens, Sonos surround system, and we're going to be plugging your logos all around all 4 screens all day long. So you're getting
you sell
promotion.
one record, you've broken even.
One record, you paid for your table.
Yeah.
You know, so that's where, because to me, we want to create this because, again, Michael and I sit on a couple different downtown committees to get this downtown going, which...
Yeah, that's true. We can chop it up about that if you want.
I mean, we've got 100,000 people here. Why is people driving 22 miles to Charlotte when they should be doing? You got
Yeah, we talk
enough
about
shit
that
going on
all
in
the
this
time,
town,
man.
especially with what this man's puts together.
Yep.
Okay, support this shit, or then you wonder why. Oh, there's nothing.
Use
to
it
do
or
in
lose
Gastonia.
it, baby.
That's exactly
Nah,
right.
it's true. I don't talk a lot about this because I'm not really, I'm not a city planner and I'm not a very political guy, but I've been asked and you've been asked to participate in some committees that are being run through the GBA, which is the Gaston Business Association. It's basically the Chamber of Commerce for this area. Now, I've been a member of the Chamber for a decade since I started my first business. I've been very involved for a long time. And again, I don't talk a lot about this because I know it's boring, but I care. I care about this community. I care about downtown. I care about the people that live here, and I want life to be better for everybody.
Absolutely.
And one way that I'm able to participate in making life better for everyone here is I'll sit on these boards and these committees. I go to these meetings and we plan. We talk about what is missing, what needs to be done, how can we make this community better. And I can't remember which committee you're on, but the committee I'm on is the committee about visitation, nightlife. What I'm part of the group of people that are trying to find what it is that people want and how do we get it here to get people out. And that's one of the things that we're working on now. One of our big I hope I'm not going to get in trouble for talking about this, but one of our big points of focus right now is we need to light it up downtown at night.
Absolutely.
Like right now, downtown Gastonia, there's a lot of cool stuff happening, but it's still too dark at night. We need more lighting on the street. We need it to kind of look more lively and it makes people feel safer.
Yeah.
I personally feel safe 100% of the time. That's because, good luck trying to get me. But I'm not really afraid. But I know that some people do feel uncomfortable when it's kind of dark and you're walking up, downtown. I get that.
Because there's not a whole lot of crime going on down there as is right now. But
No.
yeah, if you light it up, it still just makes people just coming in and don't know that.
Yeah. Plus, it kind of forces out people that would otherwise be hiding in the shadows. So that's kind of one of our areas of focus, among many others. And which committee is it that you're on?
I'm on like the business development,
Business
acquisition
development.
type stuff like that. So I've been preaching the last couple of meetings I went to was we need retail, right? That's what drives people.
Well, we need
now.
retail. We need like housing, which is happening. Like it's happening. Like we have Center Cities, we got Trenton Mill, we got Luray. Like people are moving here. They, look, those of you that live here that like to shit on, or are we past 20 minutes? We might have to bleep. Apologies. A lot of people like to talk negatively about Gastonia. And look, you got your reasons, okay? I get it. It's a bad reputation for a reason.
But it's also not the Gastonia of 10 years ago either.
It's changing, man. It's so I've watched it. I'm 46. I've lived here mostly my whole life. I got away for 7-8 years, and I came back. Why did I come back? Because I've been all over the country, and this is home. I love Crowder's Mountain. I love Gastonia. I love the river. We have it going on here.
Yeah.
And you've got this beautiful gift of this community, and I feel like it's you're just like cutting off your nose to spite your face when you talk bad about this place. Yeah, we have crime, but so does every other city in America.
Every city.
You know, look, we're not Chicago, okay?
And if you really look at it per capita, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad. But anyways, I say all that to say, look, you know, guys like me and Jason and I, we've invested our money and our lives. We've planted roots here in this community because we believe in it, and we have a stake in seeing it get better. And bringing more people here. And so, like, you know, our committee figures out what we need to do. Your committee figures out how to get the businesses here to invest. And, you know, we're not short on investors. People are investing in this town, but we need you to be here. And that's why I'm excited about events like the Carolina Sound Convention and the Brewstock, because it's going to get people here. And to be perfectly honest, if you live here in Gaston County, you should be ashamed of yourself if we get more people from out of town than we do from in town. You should feel bad about that, because it makes you the loser. These people are coming from all over the Southeast to participate in these events that we're putting on in your backyard.
Yep.
And you can't get off your lazy ass and spend $20, $10, or whatever the case may be to go support your neighbors. So, all right, enough soapbox talk. Man. Again,
But,
I'm
you know,
pretty sure people
there's-
checked out.
But there's truth in that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, like, I'm not going to lie, it's frustrating, you know,
Sure.
when you see and hear a lot of that stuff, because it's like, well, all right, have it your way. Oh, Gastonia is so bad, it sucks so bad. Don't you live here? Don't you want better?
Right.
Like,
you complain about it,
yeah,
not do anything about it.
and somebody made a point a week or so ago. I was talking with somebody, and they made a really poignant point about, well, until this community decides or demands better, it's not going to get better, because we can put all the money and resources in that we want, but if you're not going to support and participate, you're just telling us you don't want a better life.
Right.
You want to die on fentanyl. You want to be unemployed and suck the government's tit your whole life. Like, if that's what you want, okay, fair enough. It's never going to get better, but it can be so much better. I know, because I've lived in communities that care.
Yep.
Yeah, I've lived in other communities that, you know, when I was away, the places that I lived, the places I traveled to, you could tell people that there was a standard.
Sure.
You know, and they weren't going to have it. And that's kind of how I feel. Like, you know, I'm not going to have you come in here and just, you know, dump on our community, because you're wrong.
Exactly.
That's your experience, because you haven't demanded better for your life.
Or even better, form your own opinion.
Yeah.
Don't listen to somebody that, 20 years ago. It's not 20 years ago. Come down and experience for yourself. You know, make your own opinions, because honestly, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll walk down any one of these streets down here.
Yep.
10 years ago, I might not have said that.
Yeah.
You know, but
it is changing. It's changing.
and one thing we got, you know, props out to the Gastonia Police Department. We have plenty of support there, which there's a lot of communities that don't get their police support.
That's true. That's true. I'll shout out the police department, because they actually they got a couple of guys that patrol this area, and they actually show up to some of these meetings and these gatherings that we have, where we talk about what's going on and what we're doing, you know, the work we're putting in. And now we're starting to see people from outside of the downtown area are starting to show up to some of these. And people are catching on. Look,
Sure.
You know, yes, it's the last suburb around Charlotte that hasn't been completely developed, overdeveloped. And I actually find that as a positive.
Absolutely.
I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in a cookie cutter community. I want to
way.
live in a community that has history and culture, and there's something unique about it.
Eclectic, different types of everything.
Absolutely.
And what's unique about Gastonia is what's happening now, the things that are building up and making this community better. It's being done by individuals like you and me,
Sure.
and others. You know, like I'm not patting myself in the back, because there's people out there doing a whole lot bigger stuff than I am.
Well, they have bigger budgets
And
than
they have deeper pockets. That's basically what I was just saying. But, you know, we're doing the work, and it's not some big development, you know, company out of New Jersey that's deciding where you're going to eat, where you're going to sleep, how big your apartment's going to be, how many square feet it is, how many parking spots are available. Because that's what happens when you live in a cookie cutter community. Someone else has already decided all of these things, and you're just plugging into the matrix.
And you're part of their bottom line.
Yes, and yes, you're more
Whereas
of a
all these
statistic than
business-
you are part of a
exactly,
community.
and all these business owners down here are your neighbors that live in this town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other cool
So when you
part
spend
about it.
money down here, it's going
Exactly.
to your
And
friends and your community.
That's a
Yeah.
great point. There, you know, there's, besides maybe maybe the Fuse District guys, but they've got, I'm sure those are outside investors.
Well, that was a private-public partnership that has had a rocky start, but is finally leveling itself out. There's still a lot of work that organization needs to do to endear themselves to the business community and to the community as a whole. There's a lot, but they got kind of a crappy situation dumped on their lap. Granted, they did decide to pull the trigger and buy in, so they've got to find that balance. Resources are finite. Mm-hmm. And they're doing the best of what they got, and that's my generous take on them.
Sure.
I'd like to see more done to endear themselves, but yeah, like I love that I'm part of a community that's being built by individuals and not corporate money, and we're able to do this because people have an appetite for it.
Sure.
It can be better. Yes, it could be a lot better. This room could be full every night. It's not now.
Right.
But it can be, and that's on you. That's on you listening. That's on you watching. Get out and support these businesses and make it better. Maybe your experience sucked it, but you got kids and you want their experience. Do you want your kid to run off to college and leave and then you just die alone in Gastonia?
Right.
Or do you want your kids to be proud of where they came from, go off to college, and instead of running off to somewhere else, come back here and invest in this community? And that's, I don't think a lot of people think that far ahead. That's kind of one of the motivators for me is I think about the future.
Sure.
When my daughter goes to college, I would like to see her as she, in her adult life. I don't want her running off to some other state. I would like for her to stay local and give her a place to be proud to live.
Right.
I did that. I turned 22 and got the fuck out of Dodge. And I ended up coming back, for a myriad of reasons. But I'm glad I did because when you do get away, you start to appreciate the things you miss about home. And, people can say that about wherever they're from. Anyway, I'm rambling.
I've lived all over the place. I mean, I moved to L.A. at 19 to roadie for a couple bands, and I came from a little town in upstate New York. Then you have a stoplight. We had 4-way stop sign. You know what I mean? I moved from that to L.A. And what's funny, I've lived in there. I mean, I was born in Alabama, lived in upstate New York, lived in L.A., and when we came to Gastonia in 2008 is when we moved from Kannapolis area to here. I never felt more at home in Gastonia. It just felt natural.
Yeah.
It was like kind of reminded me, but bigger, of where I'm from in New York.
Well,
and,
and I love that. It makes me really happy to hear people say that, especially someone who came down from up north. Just don't tell your friends up north because there's enough of you down here.
Trust me. Trust me. I try
it's
not
funny
to.
how quick Northerners
I tell them how much
turn
it
Southern.
sucks. No, I'm just.
It's funny how quick Northerners turn, because I see it all the time. People will be like, every time the Observer puts out a story or the news puts out a story about Northerners moving down, even the Northerners like, I'm from up north and we're full. I see that comment all the time.
Or the twang. I'm guilty of the twang coming out when I get drunk and around.
Yeah. Well, again, we're getting off topic, but my whole thing is, if you're moving from a cesspool, why do you want to turn where you're moving to into a cesspool?
All right, we're not going to get political. We'll wrap it up. I want people to know, moral of the story here. Well, there's a couple things to pull from this. Number one, Gastonia doesn't suck. You suck. All right. If you're saying Gastonia sucks, you're the one that sucks because you clearly haven't taken the time to do the research and see what's really going on.
Or give it that
here.
second chance because it did suck.
It did.
And it's getting better. So give it that second or third or fourth chance.
But back to that point, Michael, is you have a town committed now. The GBA guys, they're wanting success. Guys like you want success. Mm-hmm. I want success. I mean, I wouldn't want to move to Noda or South End, right? Where, let's be honest, you could double or triple your business.
Yeah, one of our favorite artists about a year ago moved to Noda from Gastonia, and it's not even been a year yet, and they want to come back.
Sure. I mean, it's not the grass ain't always greener.
Yeah.
So what you do is you make the grass that you're in a lot greener where you're at, and I think that's what people need to do. And there's a lot. I mean, we got fantastic restaurants, we got fantastic entertainment, and again, I've said to you several times, me and you've talked, why this place isn't packed is beyond me because the stuff that you put in this place is mind-boggling.
Yeah, we're having fun, and you could be having fun too. Buy a ticket, come to a show.
Absolutely.
And that would be point number 2 is September 27th. It's a Saturday. Fall weather's in full speed. Like, it's going to be great. You've got the Carolina Sound Vinyl Convention, Vinyl and More. You've got Brewstock happening here at the Rooster.
Yep.
Remember, keep your receipt or your ticket from the convention, bring it down here, save some money at the door, come get some food, come enjoy some live music. You might even meet a few of our artists up there at the convention. Come get records, get jewelry, get clothes. We'll have a few vendors here too, so like we'll have a few as well at our thing. And then, don't wait until the 27th. Come check out JG's Vinyl and More right next door to the Rooster, downtown Gastonia. Got vinyl. He's got guitars in there. I like going over there and plucking on the bass every now and then. I love that you put our calendars up every month.
Absolutely,
Thank you for that.
dude.
I appreciate that. But
Anything we can do to help, man.
Yeah, well, same here. Like I said, when you told me about this convention, I got excited.
Oh,
I was like, this is awesome. Hopefully, I'll be able to scurry away for a few minutes and come check it out.
Just come over early.
See.
Just come in early.
I'll have to come early. But it's a big day for us. It is quite literally, it is our biggest event of the year.
Oh, yeah.
So, we're going to have, 600, 700, 800 people in downtown Gastonia that day. So, go ahead and book your hotel now.
Oh, speaking of which, real quick, if anybody needs a room, I have discounted rooms over at the Hilton Garden. So I have 10, but she allotted me up to 20. And I think it's normally like $239 a night. I think she's doing for a $155 a night.
How about that?
So
How about that?
If anybody needs a room, let me know, and I'll give you the discount code.
$80, $90 on your hotel. Get it, Jason. Get it, JG's Vinyl and More on social media. Jason's a great guy, y'all. I enjoy talking to him. He comes in after work sometimes, checks out shows. Him and his wife, they're so cute together. I love what you're doing, brother. Thank you for being a part of this community.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us.
Nice.
So.
Peace and love, y'all.
Awesome, dude.